Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. Barry Carl joining us here live on the podcast as well as on our Zoomcast. He's a certified sexological body worker, also certified core energetic practitioner from SomaticJoy LLC. Welcome, Mr. Barry Carl, back to the show. How are you?
I'm good, Jill. How are you?
I'm great. Good to see you. For those new listeners today, let's just get started by quickly introducing yourself and telling us your contact information. And then we're going to get into another great conversation today, as usual.
Cool. Okay, my name is Barry Carl. I am a certified sexological body worker, a certified core energetics practitioner, otherwise known as a therapist, and something else that's not actually on the sheet there. I'm also a certified couples counselor. So I do I do this work with couples. I do intimacy coaching with individuals and couples as well.
Wonderful. And you're also licensed with Reiki as well?
Well, to be truthful, there's no license.
Okay.
Uh,
But
there's certifications. I've been doing Reiki
energy healing and
since the early 80s.
before it was even anything. Got it.
Well, it only had a couple of thousand years
Yeah.
behind it at that point.
Wow.
Yeah, it's energy work. And in fact, even sexological body work has roots that go back thousands of years. People have known about this. But the message has gotten a little bit scrambled from time to time. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here, is because I feel like one of my reasons for being here is to let people know what's available to them.
Great.
And this is such a wonderful, beneficial, powerful modality. I wish more people knew about it so they could avail themselves of it.
Fantastic. And why specifically did you get into this field? Would you mind sharing a little bit about the why of it all?
Well, there are a lot of reasons, and I'll try to keep it simple because they're pretty big. They're big reasons. One is because it struck me quite some time ago how little pleasure people get out of life, how little so many people actually enjoy their lives on all different kinds of levels. And part of the message from society is, don't enjoy it too much, don't have too much fun. Pleasure is suspect. In our work lives, we're not supposed to have fun.
I know.
I had a client once say something to me that I just found heartbreaking. She said, I want to be able to do everything that I need to do, and I still want to have a good time.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, why do those things have to be mutually exclusive? Because there is that in our cultural messaging that defines work as not being pleasurable. If you're enjoying your work, if you're having too much fun, you must be doing something wrong.
Yeah.
This is why people look forward to retirement, because they spend their lives doing things that aren't aligned with their reason for being here.
Yeah.
So there are big chunks of their lives that feel meaningless other than to get a paycheck.
Yeah.
And boy, you can probably take antidepressants until the world ends, but it's not going to give you that feeling of fulfillment that you get from taking pleasure in what you do.
Yeah.
So that's one big reason. Another big reason is well, it's just this unending pain that people seem to be in. We've taken sexuality, sensuality, the erotic, and we've put a very dark cloud over it.
Yeah.
When it's really an important part of our balance. It's part of what keeps us healthy. It's part of what keeps us alive. It's part of what keeps us juicy.
Yeah.
I talk a lot about living a turned on life. It's not just something that you set aside for 15 minutes in the bedroom with a partner. It's how you approach life. There are so many avenues of pleasure that we have to us through our senses, through our bodies. Um, and a lot of the time, we don't even notice them. You know,
Yeah.
God, what a beautiful day. Boy, that coffee smells great.
Mm.
I love listening to this song. There are so many uh, turn-ons in our lives that we blow past, or we ignore, or we find suspect for
Yeah.
some reason, that um, we leach a lot of the joy and the pleasure out of life. And I find that personally a tragedy.
Yeah.
And for as long as I am drawing breath on this earth, my mission is to help restore people to their birthright, which is pleasure.
Yeah.
If we didn't have the receptors for it, it wouldn't matter, but we're made for it.
Yeah.
And it's
Very
just
true.
as important a part of our life is as discipline
Wow.
and, you know, showing up, all of the work related ethics that have been inculcated in us since birth, basically. We have a right to pleasure. So,
Absolutely.
so that's my banner.
Love it. I love it. I love it. And do you want to add a little more to that before we get into a little bit about the code of ethics as well?
Well, I have a lot to add to that.
Sure.
And the larger question here is, why do this work as a client? Why
Yeah.
would someone come to me or another certified sexological body worker? Uh, and the foremost reason is self-knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you know what you like? One of the first questions I ask a client, and it often comes as a surprise because most people have never heard this question.
Yeah.
How do you like to be touched?
Mm-hmm.
Most people go, I don't know.
They get uncomfortable talking
They
about
get,
it. Yeah.
yeah, and this is, people get at least as uncomfortable talking about this as they get talking about money.
Yeah. Two things. You're right. Sex, pleasure, money. Same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
all like, ooh, God,
Mm-hmm.
and that's part of the culture. That's part of the culture. It's like people who work in offices, they are actually discouraged from discussing their paycheck
Yeah.
with other people in the office, when it should be, well, hey, this is what I'm making. What do you make? Really? I should be making that too. But bosses don't want that, so they discourage it.
Yeah.
So when we have people who are alive, awake, aware, know what they want, and are turned on by life, they're probably going to be more satisfied than people who are simply, I don't know, consumer driven. Um, because the answer isn't in stuff. It's not in things. Things are great. Things are
Yeah.
great. Money's great. I have no objection to any of that. But there are deeper layers to be mined here, and knowing what you want and what you like is also discouraged, just like talking about paychecks,
Yeah.
partly because a sexually aware, self-confident woman is not only sexy, but
Mm-hmm.
incredibly powerful. That's a powerful, powerful person.
And could be intimidating.
Very. And there are a lot of insecure people out there who want the world to somehow conform to their insecurity. So rather than empowering other people,
Yeah.
they try to take the power away from them. So, first and foremost, self knowledge. Doing this work is a deep dive into self knowledge.
Yeah.
When I show up for a session, I'm not there for me, I'm there for my client. It's just the same as doing more classical kinds of therapy. I'm there to support my client's journey into self-knowledge. So knowing what you want and knowing what you like are just the starting point. How about being able to tell a partner what you like
Yeah.
and what you want? Being able to give a partner guidance, being able to meet a partner in awareness, being able to share that wonderful, juicy connection. That's something that a lot of people have trouble with. They're intimidated from the get-go. One of the big deals in this work I call choice and voice. In other words, being able to use your voice when you need to say, yes, I like that. No, I don't like that.
Yeah.
A little left, stop. Um, whatever is up for you to be
Yeah.
able to communicate it successfully is of premium importance here. I didn't know before I got into this work how easy it was for people, especially female-bodied people, to lose their voice on the table, to lose their agency, to lose their sense of self.
Mm-hmm.
It happens in partner interactions. One of the big differences between working with a sexological body worker and working with a partner is there's no reciprocity.
Yeah.
Most people have never been touched without some agenda, without something being required of them. And very often, the anxiety around that prevents them from dropping deeply into
Mm-hmm.
their own bodies, into their own felt experience,
Yeah.
because they're preoccupied with what's this going to cost me? What am I going to have to do in return? So, in sexological body work with a certified sexological body worker, there is no reciprocity. There is only one way touch,
Yeah.
and it is for the express knowledge and pleasure of the client. Sessions are controlled by the client.
Yeah.
If nothing will happen in your session that you do not expressly want and invite.
Yeah.
It's important to know that, because another one of the reasons that people enter into this work is they're curious. They're curious about functions, body functions, or activities that perhaps the only other place to experiment with them is in a riskier atmosphere.
True.
Um, I talk in my work a lot about kink, and I know that sends up big flags for some people. Um, but in a more general sense, it can be an extremely healthy and loving way to work stuff out,
Mm-hmm.
especially in an atmosphere where the boundaries are strong, where no means no, stop means stop,
Yep.
and you know that you are safe. Because as we've spoken about in the past, trust and safety
Yep.
are bottom line needs for a person to drop deeply into their own erotic self.
Yep.
So let's say you're curious about squirting. Everybody seems to be.
Mm-hmm.
Is it real? Does it exist?
How does it happen? How can I do that? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How can
Mm-hmm.
how can I do that? Um, that's really simple. Uh, the actual mechanics of it, um, but it's also counterintuitive. So it's great to have somebody who can teach you, who will welcome you, who's not going to shame you, or goes, ew, I mean, how many of you out there have been shamed by a partner's reaction to you? You know,
Of
all it takes
course.
is an eye roll or a look or a, you know,
Yeah.
uh, we're also vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
in that place. So what if, no matter what you did or thought or said or wanted, all you got in response was, yay, yeah, great, wonderful, do it some more. Um, we don't generally get that,
Yeah.
but you get that here to be celebrated in your erotic self is a life-changing experience. To be touched exactly how you would like to be touched can be a life-changing experience.
Yeah.
Um, to have your curiosity satisfied in a safe container can be a life-changing experience. To go deeply into trauma and have it resolved and feel yourself held and safe
Mm-hmm.
can be a life-changing experience.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And my favorite phrase in all of this work, and people don't really believe it at first, but there's always more. There is always more. Even if you think that you have reached the end of your development, even if you think that how could there be more?
Mm-hmm.
I promise you, there is.
Yeah.
The especially for those of you who are blessed with female bodies, there's more there than you can possibly imagine.
Mm-hmm.
You are more powerful than you imagine, and your potential is greater than you imagine. So if that's your only takeaway, it's a win.
Yeah.
Knowing that there's more and being open to more. Who wouldn't want more?
Everyone should know.
Well, we
I
think
want
we
more.
think we
Yeah,
do.
right, right, right.
We think we
The
do.
grass is always greener, no? Right?
Yeah. So let's see, how are we doing for time?
We're
Okay.
good.
Um, to talk a little bit. Well, let's see, there are other reasons here, but I think I covered most of them. Oh, I wanted to say one thing, and it's about age. Uh, the erotic is a use it or lose it proposition in the
Mhm.
body, and we've been indoctrinated, and I believe falsely, about age and the erotic, about age and sexuality. Um, I've worked with, conservatively speaking, hundreds of clients ranging in age from late 20s to, let's see, my oldest client was 93. 93. And she had been married, her husband had died, and she had not been touched in 40 years.
Wow.
And she was predictably, I think, defensive when she first came in. I mean,
Mhm.
just imagine the courage
Who yeah,
that took,
absolutely.
that took. Um, just an amazing, amazing human being to begin with.
Mhm.
Uh, but the first thing she did, and this broke my heart, was she apologized for bringing me this old body.
Ah, breaks my
And
heart.
yeah, it broke my heart too, and makes me want to cry in the present.
Oh.
But so the story has a happy ending because she had 5 sessions, and this work changes me too. I mean, you must know that you can't be in this work and not be changed by it.
Mhm.
But watching this woman come online and start to light up like a Christmas tree was like watching puppies being born. It was just,
Aw.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. So by her last session of the week, when she was just rocking and rolling and having the greatest time, and then after her session, sitting on the table with a big bowl of ice cream and the biggest grin on her face you could possibly imagine, I thought, this is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, and everything we've been told about human sexuality is a lie.
Lie. How
Everybody,
ironic. Yep.
everybody deserves this. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what shape your body is. It doesn't matter how you walk or look or dress. You deserve this. It is your birthright.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And age doesn't matter.
Yeah.
A lot of people stop because they think they're supposed to, or they've been shamed into it. Um, we do live in a youth-centric culture, uh, and people people are disposable after 25. You've hit your prime. Great, get off the stage.
Yeah.
But we are joyously juicy, erotic beings for our entire lives if we so choose to be.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes illness will get in the way, infirmity will get in the way, but it doesn't mean that you're over. It doesn't mean that you've stopped.
Mm-hmm.
If we All we have to do is look at statistics, Jill.
Yeah.
The people who report the most satisfaction in sex are over 65.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
these are
amazing.
these are gold-plated studies. This is not the Inquirer,
Yes.
you know baby aliens. No, it's not that. It's this is true.
Yeah.
Um, and part of the reason that people over 65 report the greatest amount of satisfaction is they've gotten over how they look.
Mm-hmm. And their insecurities that yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they're just going for it.
Wow.
Yeah, which is just phenomenal. Now, in a nutshell, how do you find a sexological body worker? Because there aren't a whole lot of us
Yeah. How
compared to
do
the
you
general
find? Yes.
population. Well, there are some good websites.
Okay.
Uh, there are certifying bodies. I mean, you want to find somebody who is a certified sexological body worker. That means they've been trained by a school. That means that they have a code of ethics that they work by. The Association of Certified Sexological Body Workers, the
Mm-hmm.
ACSB, has a website.
Okay.
The various schools that uh, train sex pods also have websites.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there are some of us who list in alternative practitioner directories, like
Yeah.
me. I'm on Heal Me, um, but there are others, and if you just do a Google search
Yeah.
for sexological body work, you will find them. You may have to go to them depending on where
Oh.
you live,
Yeah.
um, but we're scattered around here and there. I'm in the New York area, and surprisingly, there are very, very few people for such a populous center.
Yeah.
There are a lot more people, say, in Vancouver,
Mm-hmm.
Los Angeles. Um, I don't know why people flock to. Well, there may be a very obvious reason there. The school that I trained in is in Vancouver,
Yeah.
so a lot of the students are from there, and a lot of them stay there. There is a school in Los Angeles, so a lot of the people train
Okay.
there, and they live there and they work there. There's a school in Hawaii. There's a school in Australia. There's a school in Germany. Um, they are around. Uh, but if you just do a Google search for sexological body work, you'll find articles, and you'll also find people.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the difficulties with doing this work is a lot of platforms, like Facebook, for instance, they're coming down really hard on anything that they think is squiffy.
Yeah.
I don't even know the right word. Improper. Um, it's ironic. This work couldn't be more proper
Yeah.
or more needed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and back to the beginning of our conversation today. That's why I'm doing this work. I want you to know that this is out there, that it's possible, that it's
And
beneficial.
absolutely. And if we want to reach out to you directly, how do we find you?
You can find me on Heal Me. That's where you'll find the most information. But you can also contact me directly. My email is my name, Barry Carl, BARRYCARL, all small case at gmail.com. You can call me or text me at 917-863-1950. I'm available and I'm out there for a reason, because I want you to get the benefit of this work.
Wonderful. Barry Carl, thank you so much for joining us today, chatting with us, and all that you do. And you're helping so many people, especially that woman in her 90s. God bless her. That is amazing. Really
It
pulling on
is.
the heartstrings with that one. But no
It
one's
is.
too old. You could be young, old, doesn't matter. Pleasure is pleasure. And,
And trauma is trauma.
true.
You know,
Yeah.
you carry it in your body until you don't.
Yeah.
So that's another reason to seek me out.
Well, let's live our best life. Thank you so much for that and for your advice today. And Barry Carl, we'll hopefully look forward to speaking to you next week as well.
Great, Joe.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.